Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakal Kodesh. Noble honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, or the true leaders of Israel today. And salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. And the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we're the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Akalia, and this video is about the Mark of the Beast prophecy, which is the microchip. Alright, so we have another update, this time coming out of Vietnam. And this is a situation that has been going on for a few weeks now, which, that's just how it goes. The system, which is the Mark of the Beast system, it is being implemented worldwide and developing at a very rapid pace. And even if you check for the information daily, there's just so much going on, so much information out there that there's information that you miss. So I actually seen a brother post about this. So I just tapped in, immediately as I saw it, I went to the Google. And this situation is very interesting. Now, overall, right, everything that is being done is to bring about the prophecy of the Mark of the Beast, which is the microchip. So all of these systems that are being put in place is for that very same purpose. Now, the Mark of the Beast, Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So who is he that will be causing this? The people that are in rulership today, who are these so-called white people, who are the biblical Edomites, whose forefather is Esau. They are the wicked, right? And it will be their elite, their ruling class, that will be doing this. They have an agenda at hand, which is their New World Order. And at the forefront of it is the microchip, which is the Mark of the Beast. And it doesn't matter who you are, your social status or anything, they intend for it to be mandatory worldwide. This is a prophecy. To receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So the mark at G5480 is a charagma, which is, it says a stamp and imprinted mark. So it is something that is put in, right? Something imprinted, okay? And it is administered by way of the G5482, which is the Carax. So the charagma is the microchip. And then the Carax is the device used to administer the microchip. So it says a pail or stick. And when you look at that, it is something that is like a pencil, right? Or a pen, of that kind of similar shape. Something with a pointed end. And that's what it is. The Carax, it pierces the skin, right? And then it injects the microchip into the hand. Okay? So it says, and then regarding a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, the microchip itself in the hand and also in the forehead, which is the brain microchip, it's up and running and available and ready to go. All right. And then regarding the brain microchip, it is continuously developing regarding what it is allowing people to be able to do with it being implanted. That is, a continuous developing story. All right. But the portion in the hand that is, basically fully set. All right. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So unless you have the microchip, which is the mark of the beast, you won't be able to buy or sell. All right. And it's not just about, that you won't be able to buy food or stuff like that. It is about you won't be able to be a part of society unless you have the microchip. So unless you have the microchip, you won't be able to gain access to food, medical services, government services, financial services, any kind of services that you can think about. And then it says, buy or sell. So in order to be a merchant, a seller, you have to be a part of the system. Regardless, you have to have the microchip to be a part of the system, or else you'll be shut out. This is where it's all heading towards. So, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, so unless you have the mark of the beast, which is a microchip, you're going to be shut out from society. So this is where we're heading to. And all of the systems are being implemented to facilitate this from the digital public infrastructure of all of the countries around the world, the cities, the towns, transforming to, you know, a digital landscape, right? That's what the digital public infrastructure is for, to change things digitally, right? You have the central bank digital currencies, which is the transformation of the monetary system from using the paper dollar to then using a digital payment system, because everything is going digital, right? It's a digital payment system because the microchip itself is a digital device that stores all of your information on it, from your biometric information to your medical information, financial information, every single thing. And it's already up and running in that kind of way, right? So the microchip itself is going to be used as a form of payment, right? By way of that digital device that will be implanted into the hand. So they're doing away with cash because the microchip is going to be that, you know, mode of payment. And so it's going to be making digital payments by way of that digital device that's inserted in the hand. All right. Then you have the digital identification system, which is all about the consolidation of all of your information into one place, a stepping stone towards the microchip, right? Because eventually, with this consolidation of all of your information onto one place by way of this digital ID, when the time comes where the prophecy is happening, where the microchip becomes mandatory worldwide, they would already have had a system ready where they just simply transfer all of your data, which would have already been on that one digital ID system, onto the microchip. You see? This is where it's all heading towards. So, knowing that, right? Here it is. Vietnam shuts down millions of bank accounts over biometric rules. So this is a recent article on it, last updated September 22nd, 2025. And then you have here, all right, which was like 2 weeks ago, September 8th, 2025, Vietnam erases 86 million bank accounts. The Great Reset in motion. All right, so I'm going to read. Look at this. They even bring up the digital ID itself. Yeah? Because I brought it up too, you know, to show you. But let's read this one and then perhaps the next one, if the spirit allows. Okay? So it says Vietnam has erased and or frozen 86 million unverified bank accounts as the nation surrenders to the globalist reset, which is talking about the wicked elite of Esau Edom, which is in fact happening, right? They're doing their reset, which is really their NWO, which is really their new slavery system that is coming in, and they want to microchip everyone so that they have a higher level of control over the people. Okay? Anyone wishing to function in society must surrender their biometric data to maintain a bank account. The State Bank of Vietnam, SBV, claims that the measure was a system cleanup aimed at preventing fraud. That's the reason that they're using, you know, one of the main reasons they've been using to prevent fraud. Okay? But it doesn't matter what reasons they want to use regarding implementing the systems. They'll put a reason out there, but the prophecy is at hand, right? In actuality, the measure is one step closer toward a national ID system that enables the government to control its citizens' every move. This is a data cleansing revolution, said Pham Antoine, director of the payment department. Interesting, data cleansing revolution. While the total number of bank accounts remains 200 million, by September 2025, once the legal framework is complete, all accounts without biometric data will be closed to prevent scams and fraud. After 7 years of promoting non-cash payments, we are moving toward real efficiency, right? So they want to tie your bank account to your biometrics. That is just simply the merging, okay? Because, and I know it's down here, right, the digital ID, but I'm gonna bring it here as well. This is the one that I typically bring out. So the digital ID, right? This is what it is. And as you can see from it, it includes everything about one's life that they intend to merge onto this one digital ID. And then the digital ID identifies people by way of their biometrics, facial scan, eye scan, fingerprint scan. All right, so your digital ID is going to be tied to you yourself, biometrics, because what did Esau find out? He found out that biometrics are unique, per person. All right. Even with like twins and stuff, there's, even though they may look identical, their biometrics are still separate, right? So Esau knows this. So when you tie a person's biometrics to their ID, and that I to their digital ID, and that digital ID has all of these things attached to it, from your financials to your health care to your travel and mobility, which is your passports, e-commerce, social platforms, e-government, then there's no way to, you know, not be a part of the system, or to like, you know, be anonymous in any kind of way. They're cutting that out completely. All right. They want to know every single thing that you're doing at every single moment of the day. And it will all be on this one big digital database for them to be able to see and to track. All right. So as you can see here, everything is going to be tied to the digital ID. It is talking about people, things, entities, and devices, which is all about all of these things communicating one with another. All right. Because people are going to be microchipped, right? So they're going to be merging with that technology. And then they have the smart cities, the 15-minute cities, which are all about these completely digital and technologically driven cities, right? Where people are going to be walking around with their microchip. This is what they envision. And everything that they do, they're scanning their hand with the microchip in it. Or, you know, they have the brain microchip as well. However it will go, all right? But they will be, you know, using that microchips, doing the scans, okay, for every single thing that they do, while, you know, to be a part of society, okay? So it shows you the social platforms, government services is tied to it. Is your internet, which is your internet, you know, your internet profile is the social platforms, the e-commerce. Your phone, your SIM card is going to be tied to your digital ID. Every single thing about your lifestyle is going to be tied to your digital ID. All right, and remember, the digital ID identifies you by way of biometrics. So this situation is, you know, just clearly them taking another huge step, because this right here is just point blank saying, listen, you have to do this in order to continue this. And this is where it's all heading towards, all right? Where eventually it's going to become mandatory worldwide, and then the hour of temptation is going to be upon us. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which is when you will be faced with the microchip, which is the mark of the beast, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So this time is coming, and this is going to affect the entire world, right? Because the word world here in the Greek is oikomene, which is talking about the inhabited earth. All right, so this is going to be affecting everyone on the planet, okay? But regarding the salvation and who I'm speaking to, you know, to not take the microchip, which is the mark of the beast, I'm talking to you Israelites, as we're the Lord's holy chosen people, and salvation is only for us. It doesn't matter if the heathen take it, they're irrelevant. All right, and so this word temptation, when you break it down at G3986, which is also going to be the same breakdown for try at G3985, right? So it is a trial, of course, parasmos, right? It will be a trial of our faith, those of us in the truth. But when you break it down further to the origin, it talks about the same thing again, a trial. Let's break it down further, origin G3984, which is para. Then you see the origin from the base of G4008 through the idea of piercing, which says paran, which is to pierce. All right, so this precept can actually be read as, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of piercing, which shall come upon all the world to pierce them that dwell upon the earth. And that's what it is, the hour of piercing, because that's how the microchip is administered. All right, so going back to this, all right, they're doing their thing. Vietnam recently implemented a nationwide digital ID system called VNEID that requires both citizens and foreign residents to surrender to the matrix and permit the government to store their personal information in a centralized database. All right, so this is just speaking to the system coming in full speed, man. Okay, fingerprints, facial biometric data, photographs, passports, nationality, criminal records, and even medical records will be stored in the government database. Well, the digital ID shows that, right? Medical records, healthcare, financial services are going to be tied to it as well. All right, so that's why, okay, they want the biometrics to be tied to the bank accounts, because this is all a part of the system at hand. Okay. Let's see what else it says. Everything from banking to renting an apartment is linked to the digital ID, right? One wrong move and the government can completely erase someone from the system, etc. Okay. So then they show the digital ID as well, which they're right on the money for this, right? To identify this. Okay, so that's what they're saying here. So let's go to this one right here. Vietnam shuts down millions of bank accounts. Oh, and you know what? Before I read this, I want to read the biometric microchip. All right, so a biometric microchip is a digital data, which this is the mark of the beast, is a digital data storage device that stores biometric information such as fingerprints, facial recognition data, or personal details for identification and authentication. All right, so people are being implanted by these microchips, right? These microchips are used like in devices like e-passports to enhance security and prevent fraud, etc. And so that looks to be their main selling point, the prevention of fraud. Okay, but knowing the system at hand, Esau is the wicked, right? And they the ones that be doing all this stuff. Anyway, how they work in passports, biometric passports contain human implants, right? So this is the microchip. These are small injectable devices, often encased in a silicate glass tube implanted subcutaneously. They use RFID and NFC technology to store a unique ID number linked to a database or for functions like payment. So you see, the biometric microchip is about, your identification, right? It says it stores biometric data, and then it's telling you as well that you have your unique ID number, which is your biometric ID linked to a database or for functions like payment, so that, your biometric ID is tied to your financials, your medical, all these kinds of stuff. All right. So this is it at hand. Okay. So they're laying down the groundwork for, when the time comes mandatory. So let's see what's happening in this article. The more recent one. Vietnam has begun a sweeping crackdown on bank accounts that fail to comply with its new mandatory facial biometric identification system. So they've made it mandatory. Coming to a town near you, by the way. Okay, so I can only imagine that Jamaica, where I'm at, may be doing this soon, right? Jamaica has launched the National Identification System, which is the Jamaican Digital ID. And Jamaica has launched the Central Bank Digital Currency. All right, and they're definitely promoting it because they're all a part of the agenda. This is a one world agenda. All of these leaders around the world have received their mandate from the wicked elite of Esau Edom that they must do what they have to do or else they will face certain consequences. That is clear. All right. And then some of them are just very willingly and gladly a part of the system any which way. Okay. But now it's becoming mandatory in Vietnam. So this is huge. This is a huge step. All right, sparking debate over financial inclusion and whether cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin offer a viable alternative for affected users. So they're bringing up Bitcoin, but to me, that's irrelevant because Bitcoin, Ethereum, all that kind of stuff, that works on a different platform compared to the central bank digital currencies, which the central bank digital currencies is the main thing, right? That is where they're heading towards. And then the stable coin that was signed into law by way of the Genius Act in America, which the stable coin is a form of digital payment which works at a 1-to-1 ratio to the US dollar. So it is essentially the digital dollar, right? That is the main one to look towards. All right. The whole Bitcoin thing, it's not going to work out. All right. Vietnam just froze 86 million bank accounts because account holders didn't comply with new biometrics laws that require a face scan or fingerprint for account verification. So what do you think is going to happen to these people? If users don't comply by the 30th, they'll lose their money. All right. So they're going to lose their money if they don't comply. So this really isn't a choice, is it? I mean, there is a choice, right? You lose everything and you go starving, etc. Or you give up your biometrics to have it linked to your bank account and be a part of the system. You see what's coming? Now, regarding this isn't... Remember, the microchip is the mark of the beast. So if this were to happen in a country or a city or town near you where you're living in, and they're like, hey, you have to give up your biometrics to have your bank account, okay, fine. You know what I'm saying? It's not... that's just a stepping stone. Remember, the mark of the beast is the microchip itself. That is what, we're telling you to not take. Me and all the other prophets of Yahweh Shemishai. Okay. Anyway, biometric verification are required as of September 1st, 2025. Okay. Facial authentication is mandatory for online transactions. Very interesting. So they're just making it mandatory. The bank's broader cashless. Okay. Impact on foreigners and inactive accounts. All right. So overall, it just shows you what is going on, right? And what is at hand. Because they're making moves where it's like, if you don't comply to the system, then you're going to be shut out. And it's already happening at like this stage before the microchip is even mandatory worldwide. So can you imagine the push when the prophecy comes to pass? These are the times that we're in, man. Okay. So that's what it is regarding this update. Of course, the warning for those who take it: America is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire. And if you're an Israelite and you take the mark of the beast, you don't have no chance for salvation, which is that microchip. Revelation 14 and verse 9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. So if you take the microchip, all right, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh Shemishai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, which is Yahweh. All right, so you don't have no chance for salvation if you take the microchip. Point blank, period. All right, this is the warning from Yahweh Shemishai to the children of Israel. And this prophecy is very close to coming to pass, man. All right. Esau be talking about 2030, but I really just don't see it. You know? And why would the devil really tell you what his plans are? That's not how he operates. Okay? It's going to be like, boom, one day, like a random day. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we shall see what the Lord's plans are regarding when the mark of the beast prophecy is going to come to pass. All right? But once it does come to pass, then it's only a matter of time before Yahushua returns and the destruction of America, which is Babylon the Great, which means the kingdom of heaven is close. With that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai by Shemukah Kodesh. Shalom.